Ilyana. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, everyone. My name is Robin Tyndall, and I am the Environmental Stewardship Team Leader at Hypertherm Associates. I joined Hypertherm 13 years ago and work every day alongside all associates at Hypertherm to fulfill our triple bottom line mission, a mission to benefit people, planet, and profit. Part of our recipe for success is to reduce the environmental impact of everything we do. The industrial sector of the world economy has a huge environmental impact, and along with that huge impact comes a huge responsibility. For the past 14 years, we've been on a journey to understand our own environmental impacts, and we've begun working to reduce those impacts across our entire value stream. Our goal today is to share some of what we have learned to help you in your journey. I hope you'll come away with some specific actions that you can take to be a more sustainable business. I'd like to start with a quick poll. The question is, what do you think is the best way for your business to reduce your environmental impacts? A, reduce your electricity use. B, reduce your hazardous waste. C, reduce your scrap for cutting and shaping processes. D, reduce your highest impact raw material. Or E, reduce the impact from your products. Now let's see what people are saying. Looks like there's definitely a lot of interest in electricity use. And now I'm seeing more come in for reducing scrap. And we'll stop there. So I'll definitely be touching on these issues as we go forward. I do have good news about your sustainability journey. You're already on it, even if you don't know it. I feel confident in saying this because, like me, many of you are probably attracted to a career in manufacturing because you like making real, tangible, useful things. You can see and touch the results of your work. Your raw materials, your processes, and your products, as well as your waste streams, are visible and tangible. Manufacturing professionals love solving problems, and I bet that you all probably use a variety of lean practices, either formally or informally. And lean is green. That's the good news. It's perfectly suited to helping you solve sustainability challenges. Let's pause for a minute again, and I'm interested to hear from you all. Type into the chat a word or a phrase that describes something that you do that's lean. All right, I'm seeing some people say relentless pursuit of waste. That's a good one. Efficiency as well. So as part of lean, we recognize the need at Hypertherm to go to the gemba, which means to go to where the work is being done. In looking to lean out our value stream, from wasting raw materials to dealing with byproducts to reducing the time to unpackage components we use in our process, we went to the people in the cell who have their hands on this work. And when we went to them, not just with a question about how to be lean, but we incorporated a sustainability goal of reducing our use of electricity or fuel or raw materials or packaging. We connected to their values and aligned with something that engaged and excited them. We designated a green champion for every one of our teams, whether on the factory floor, the office, and for remote teams. These champions acted as an ambassador of sustainability work, bringing new topics and education from our central team and running projects to reduce energy waste and carbon within their expertise, as well as to bring ideas back to our team. One of the most impactful yet unintended side effects of our environmental stewardship journey is that our associates feel proud of their stewardship work. They feel empowered to take action that benefits the planet. This layer adds additional purpose to their work beyond making a quality product. Having purpose is something that not only engages and retains the great people that we have, but it also helps attract new talent. So with this lean lens to your work, what do you do first? Some examples of the first projects that we tackled were in things that were right in front of us. Our waste streams were the most obvious opportunities because we could see the actual piles and volumes of cardboard, shrink wrap, static bags going out the door as waste, and we could also see the wasted time that was needed to move that material. We needed to create partnerships with our suppliers to co-develop returnable packaging that was safer and easier to open, used empty return trucks back to the supplier, and vastly reduced the volume of disposable packaging waste that needed to be handled. We also created an unusual partnership with our waste hauler in which we loaned them a building to use for consolidation of waste materials from over a dozen other area businesses nearby. This allowed them to build full truckloads of single commodity material that recyclers were willing to buy, and helped all members of the partnership divert more waste from the landfill. And of course, we needed associates who are experts in each of the cells to design and optimize the space for storing, sorting, and moving these waste categories. The associates of each and every cell, building, or office area are also responsible for performing waste audits. And let me tell you, there is no better opportunity for hands-on education than going through your team or cell's waste bins to see the candidates for elimination, reuse, compost, or recycling. I'd like to hear from you all again. Put into the chat, have you done a waste audit already? And if not, what scares you about doing a waste audit? All right, keep those answers coming. Great. Now, some of the answers I'm seeing lead me to say, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good enough. You have to start somewhere. Maybe you don't want to start with digging through food waste from the cafeteria, or certainly with bathroom waste. Leave those out and focus instead on your industrial processes, and I guarantee you, you will learn a lot. With these and other practices, we've reduced the landfill waste from our 12 headquarters buildings to under 1% and diverted 70 million pounds of waste from the landfill. Broadly speaking, we all need to think of waste as something first to be avoided and eliminated, but when it does exist, we then need to see it as a resource. Early wins in waste and energy efficiency are key to building momentum and enthusiasm for your initiatives. These early wins will create cost savings and be easy to see and easy to communicate across your organization. We replaced old lighting with new LED lighting that provided a brighter environment in which to work and also used less energy. Now, LED lighting is not new, but you can still seize this opportunity to show your commitment to efficiency and the fact that it can have a fast return on investment. Communicate those savings in dollars and not in kilowatt hours, because energy and electricity are invisible and therefore less tangible than waste. Measurement is really crucial here. We've gathered electricity and waste data that's specific to every area and function in our buildings, and that's also collected very frequently, usually every 15 minutes for electricity and daily for every waste stream. At Hypertherm, associates are tasked with finding the processes and equipment that use the most energy in their manufacturing cell and developing a project to reduce it. Compressed air is another perfect example of something that is energy intensive, yet invisible. So we've used measurement systems and equipment that allows us to see compressed air leaks with ultrasonic cameras that convert ultrasonic input into visual images of those expensive and energy-consuming air leaks. The first decade of our energy efficiency initiative, we avoided $3 million in energy spend. I'm going to transition now away from operations and toward product impacts, using our products as an example. I'd like to do another poll. What do you think is the best way for you to understand the environmental impacts of your products? A, use weight as a proxy as it indicates relative resource intensity. B, do a cradle-to-gate life cycle assessment. C, do a carbon footprint assessment. D, do a cradle-to-grave life cycle assessment. Or E, go through the certification process of a trusted third party. All right, I'm seeing a lot of votes right now for the carbon footprint. And I'd say second place looks like a cradle-to-grave life cycle assessment. A couple votes there for trusted third-party certification. Good, thank you for those answers. So actually, none of those answers are wrong, but a cradle-to-grave life cycle assessment, or LCA, is the best way to understand the full life cycle impact of your products, and then make informed decisions that will not result in an optimization in one part of the system that would actually make things worse for the overall system. A great example of this is an LCA that Levi Strauss did on a pair of jeans in 2007. The #1 climate impact of a pair of jeans was actually found to come from consumers washing their jeans. Though largely out of their control, Levi's embarked on a campaign to educate customers about using cold water, avoiding the use of a dryer, and washing their jeans much less frequently. The LCA also led the company to start other initiatives in sustainable design and to reduce land use impacts from cotton. Most importantly, the LCA allowed them to best prioritize their time and effort toward the biggest impacts. Another benefit to conducting an LCA is that you can start to plan for your impact reductions proactively instead of waiting for your sector or a certain ingredient that you depend on or an impact to be regulated. Usually, if you wait for regulation, it will be more costly and cumbersome to react to it. We started performing LCAs on our products in 2012, and we've covered each of our product families. Because our products use a lot of energy and are used in the industrial manufacturing sector, their impacts are greatest in the use phase of their lives. So it is their use, when they are with you, our customers, throughout their useful lives, that creates the biggest environmental impact by far. And this is true across all impact categories that we measured: human health, ecosystems, water, energy, and carbon. Our first and second place impacts in the use phase are bigger than all of our Scope 1, Scope 2, and some Scope 3 emissions combined. So that means that first and second place are bigger than heat, fleet, refrigerants, purchased electricity for our manufacturing and office facilities, all of our inbound and outbound logistics, business travel, and commuting combined. So obviously we can't ignore these top two impacts. The #2 impact of our products is the energy that they're used to cut your material. Now, that's not surprising, because if you cut with our plasma, you're creating temperatures as hot as the surface of the sun. And if you're using water jet, you might be using 60,000 PSI pressure that can cut through anything but diamonds. So of course, that is going to take a lot of energy. Our engineers continue to work to make all of our products as energy efficient as possible. We also work on enabling quality cuts, so there's no need to rerun the cutting process. And we'll continue to innovate around using the lowest amount of energy we can to enable that high quality cutting. From there, the type of energy that our products use is in your hands, as well as in the hands of your utility providers. If you can use renewable energy, directly on site is best, or through the purchase of guarantees of origin or renewable energy credits, certificates, or power purchase agreements, this will reduce the impact of that energy use. But that leaves the #1 cradle-to-grave environmental impact of Hypertherm's product. And it's part of the cutting process that happens with you, our customers, so I'm curious to see if any of you can guess what that is. So put some guesses into the chat as to what Hypertherm's #1 product impact is. I'll see if someone can guess it. Not yet. I see somebody did guess it. The answer is scrap. So the picture you're about to see shows a beautiful nest of parts being cut, and it looks to be relatively efficiently done. But that scrap that remains is pure waste, and you lean practitioners out there know that we need to always relentlessly pursue waste. It's fitting that what remains after the parts are cut out is called a skeleton, because it really does represent the death of value. When we see this scrap every day, it starts to just feel normal, and it's inevitable, and we've become probably a little bit too complacent about it. We recently looked at data from millions of customer cutting jobs over several years and found that 42% of nests achieve under 70% utilization. Unfortunately, that was worse than I expected. So let's take a step back and envision the basic components of your cutting and shaping processes. First, you have your inputs, your raw materials. You rely on them, and they're getting more expensive every day. Next is what I call the black box of your process. You can close your eyes and imagine your process. Part of it might be Hypertherm and Omax products, additional equipment, but it also includes your ingenuity, your designs, your processes, and your people, machine operators, maintenance, material handlers, engineers, It's your revenue generating machine. It's your value creation magic. So yes, your black box creates value. Your raw materials, then your magic process, and you make parts and products with a much higher value than the raw material and labor that you put into it. That's how you're profitable. But alongside those parts is the waste, the scrap, and even if you get paid for it, you are destroying value. Scrap is also destructive to the environment as well. So many resources, so much energy is embodied in that material, and yet it's now viewed as useless. So I have an example of how your revenue could be impacted by increasing utilization on a process like this. Now you can write these numbers down if you want because they're pretty startling. If you cut 1 million pounds of raw materials per year at 70% utilization, and you can increase that utilization by just 5%, your earnings could increase by 40%. And if you make that same 5% improvement in utilization, but you're starting off even worse at 60%, you gain even more, an earnings increase of 43%. Another customer's data showed a 6% earnings increase with a 1% utilization increase, and a 22% earnings increase with a 4% utilization improvement. This type of relationship is called a logarithmic curve. This means that there are steep improvements in the beginning, and then the improvements level out. So those small initial improvements in utilization drive big improvements in expense reduction, which means don't hesitate to put in a big effort to gain a few percentage points in utilization. To put this more succinctly, if you want to reduce your environmental impact, increase your raw material utilization any way you can, including using ProNest software to its fullest. ProNest has modules that can help you nest across jobs, use remnants, and run different algorithms that will improve your utilization. We've already learned that customers can get stuck in a rut, using only the modules or algorithms that they always use, and they're actually missing out on improving their utilization and their costs by those precious few percentage points. Given that some waste will in fact be inevitable, there's also the possibility of using waste as is instead of recycling. Is there a use for your scrap skeleton as a product for someone else? This would be very complicated and would require partnerships across industries, sharing of data and information, and perhaps even require material brokers to match supply with buyers. Certainly a challenge, but it would make a big difference. Now, we've just dug deeply into your raw materials and the value that you can create or destroy. We all know that we live in a resource-constrained world, a world of finite resources, so we always have to think about using fewer resources to get our work done. You might have heard of Amory Lovins. He's an American expert on sustainability and energy efficiency, and one of his sayings is just my favorite. It is, "Cold beverages and hot showers are all that people really care about." What he means is that when we want a cold beverage, we don't really care about how it got cold. We don't say, "I want a compressor and a fan and expansion valves and an insulated box that uses electricity," right? We don't want the refrigerator per se. We just want what it delivers, which is a cold beverage. So if that can be delivered using fewer resources, the planet wins, and you probably win too with a lower cost cold beverage. Using fewer resources to deliver our products is key for all of us to exist as a business. The businesses that survive are going to be those that depend on and use the fewest resources going forward. Efficiency is really key to business continuity, both on the short and long term. So this leads me to the concept of circularity. Circularity is the concept that all resources should be kept in circulation, that products should be designed with that in mind, and economic growth should be decoupled from the consumption of finite resources. The most impactful circular solutions involve refusing to use a product at all, and the best example I can think of is refusing to travel for a business need if the need can be met by having a video call. We could probably all innovate around training, maintenance, technical service, even sales, and how these could be delivered without flying a team of people across the globe. The inner loop you see on this diagram from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation is share. This is an example of rethinking your product. Using products more intensely can also reduce resource use. For example, sharing a piece of equipment, a car, or using a service instead of a product, such as hiring a person to mow all the lawns in your neighborhood instead of everyone owning a lawnmower that's only used once a week. From there, we move outward on the diagram to maintaining and prolonging the life of our products, reusing them, or partnering with a supplier or vendor, or remanufacturing or refurbishing ourselves. Scrapping a product by recycling it should be the last choice, and landfilling or incinerating should not be considered at all. Because when that happens, those resources are lost forever. Water use is another challenge that can definitely be improved by applying those principles of circularity. If you're using water jet cutting processes, you have the opportunity to use less water in the first place by working with experts at Omax and Hypertherm to optimize your cutting process while using the lowest flow of water possible. You also have the ability to reuse, filter, and cool your water in a closed loop, drastically reducing your use of what could become a scarce resource over the course of just a couple of months. And know that it's not just scarcity of water that can be a problem. Too much water in the natural environment, such as during a flood or high water table, can also mean that your municipality, your infrastructure, or even the natural areas around you could become incapable of accepting the water that you want to output, and you may no longer be able or allowed to discharge it. Approaching your product and your business strategy through the lens of circularity can help you innovate, improve, and reach new markets. Think of this. If no one had innovated around certified pre-owned cars and only new cars were available, there would be a huge number of people who would not be car customers at all. Looking at this diagram, I want you to see if you can think of one area as a personal consumer where you've purchased something that is used or refurbished or participated in a sharing ownership model, and put that into the chat. All right, thank you for that input. Let's see if there's any more. All right, some good examples there. I'm seeing Uber. That's a great example of increasing the utilization of a car instead of having so many cars with very low utilization and parked most of the time. Now, looking at the diagram again, think of a way that you could use one of these circular strategies for your business, either as a purchaser or for the products that you sell, and put those in the chat. All right, business uses or business applications of circularity. I'm seeing the ideas of leasing equipment, either on the purchase side or the selling side. And I'm also seeing participating in those secondary markets, just as the used car manufacturers do. In conclusion, I want to acknowledge that as manufacturers, you have immense power to make a change. You have this power now, so seize this opportunity to make a difference because you're in a position privileged to be able to do so. Here are my parting tips. Number one, don't wait until energy prices are higher or until resources are more scarce. Energy prices will go up and resources will get more scarce. So implement the energy and material efficiency initiatives now and start getting the benefits now. Number two, specifically don't wait until water is scarce because water scarcity can happen quickly and it will threaten your business continuity. Depending on where you are, water might be a low cost for you right now, but once it becomes scarce or unavailable, it will go from cheap to infinitely expensive overnight. Take measures now to design processes, and that's just not cutting processes, but all of your processes to reuse and recycle water to reduce those risks. Number three, unleash your creative powers on solving your sustainability problems. Your innovation processes will be strengthened for use on other challenges later by flexing them for sustainability now. Number four, partnership is required to solve these enormous challenges. You can definitely start by making changes that you have complete control over and implement those changes now. But when you're done with those, to make real and lasting change, you'll need to partner with your customers, your suppliers, your competitors, researchers, and others. Partnership could mean collaborating on a project, and it could also mean sharing your data, your knowledge, and your experiences to help others learn. Lastly, I'd like you to all hear from each other. So please enter some words into the platform for the word cloud to answer this question. What is the next green challenge that you are excited to take on? I see zero landfill. That's a good one. And internal carbon pricing, yes, that is a great mechanism for driving change and really bringing those dollars and cents to bear on your processes. At Hypertherm Associates, we take our own sustainability journey very seriously. It is one of our core values, and it's built into every product and service. Thank you so much for your participation and your enthusiasm. Best wishes to you on your sustainability journey, and please reach out to us with any questions. I hope I'll see you again in either my breakout session called Greener Cuts or a roundtable discussion later in the program.